All right, welcome everyone to the May meeting of the Hampton Ship Model Society. We normally start out by recognizing guests, but today we're gonna start out with some very unfortunate business. If you haven't already heard, Tom Saunders passed away a couple of days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. So he's gonna be sorely missed. Cover that more in the business portion. But yeah, that's why you didn't get a logbook this month. And more on that later. Is there anyone that'd be willing to take the minutes for today's meeting? All right, so now under the normal order of business. Any guests? Especially not including our every month guests. I don't see any here today. Oh, okay. Yes. You'll bring your friend back.
Oh, he's up in Canada right now. Wish he could rejoin us.
All right. All right. Any additions or well, there aren't any minutes published this month, so there can't be any. Treasurer's report.
Okay, for the month of April, we started the month out with $4,279.27. I collected $192 in dues. Disbursements, we spent $843.11 on tools for the model shop and $74.19 on business cards. Total disbursements were $917.30 and leaves us an ending balance in the bank of $3,553.97. And I've got 7 members that owe dues. I sent out emails a couple days ago on those. And we've got 46 regular members, 7 associates.
Anyone have a pen I can borrow?
Yes.
Thank you. Things out of order on my agenda. Okay, you're all done, Ron?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. That brings us to the webmaster's report. That's me. Posted several newsletters we received from other clubs. And I've done some work on the back end to try and save us some money. Details and glory, so I'll skip those. This but I've likened the website to a component stereo system. Maybe a better example would be a house. So WordPress is what we use. That's the house. But it's just a bare empty house. If you want to have more than that, all the content, pictures, and the words you put in, and the furniture you move into the house. Then there's some things like all it does is contain your furniture. If you want to do something else, like have an alarm system, have a separate add-on for that. And if you want intercom, there's an add-on for that. If you want to add an elevator, add-on for that. The add-on that we're using to organize our files and started out at $20 and $30 and $40 and $50. I said enough is enough. That's way more than it's worth. So I think I'm off. And I found something that'll cost us $25 one time, and we'll do the job. So that's that. Moving on to old business. I started out with Founders Award. We brought that up earlier in the year. We had a committee that didn't find anyone who'd done anything out of the ordinary for the sake of the club, which is not a problem, especially COVID's still an active thing. But given Tom's passing, I'm going to make a motion. We reopen that as a single nominee for the Founders Award. Tom has been given the Founders Award twice before, but he's certainly deserving of it. He's been the editor and clerk for 25 years running. I think it's fair. 25 years is this past March. Started in March of 1997. It's fair to say that he's done more for the club than any other single person. Ryland served as purser for quite a long time, but not as long as Tom has been editor. And I hazard a guess that Tom does more work than this in the log book than you have to do with our accounts. A lot of people have served in other offices, skippers, first mates, etc. But Tom's done more work, I think, than anyone else. Kind of as a last memorial to him. I'm making that motion. I think I already heard a second.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so, kind of a point vote, but I think I know it's gonna carry. All those in favor of, appointing Tom Saunders as this year's Founders Award member? Okay. And,
Excuse me.
Yep.
Tom died?
yes. I don't know any details. Does anyone here have any other details? Sure. Any news about a memorial? Any news about a memorial?
No, I talked to his sister yesterday, and they have nothing planned yet. Don't know what they're going to do. Of course, it's not her thing. It's the kids will determine what they want to do for anything for a service point. As far as what happened to him, they don't know yet. I talked to him on Monday, and he sounded like Tom. And I was going to call him Thursday and ask him to help me do the logbook. And I got busy and didn't do it. I left him several messages on Friday. Of course, but then she called and called me, said that they were concerned as well. They went by, saw his car was there, and had the police come do a wellness check when they found him. So somewhere between Monday and Friday. Apparently he was laying on himself in his tent. And he just went peacefully. But as to what the cause is, we don't know.
Okay. All right, old business, business cards and flyers. First of all, I note that the single flyer that I gave Ron is up in the model stand, so I think getting that taken care of.
Business cards are the models.
Pardon?
Business cards are the models.
Okay, and so that leaves flyers. Been any work done on flyers? Tom was gonna do that.
Yeah, he was. He was good.
Sorry, just give me a moment to make a note. Okay, so sounds like the business cards, the single display for the model stand to take care of. We can discuss someone else taking care of flyers later. I don't think we can do that now.
Right. Somewhere in this process, I'll talk to his sister. We've got some software and some and some files and things like that.
It's unfortunate how much we lost having a senior moment. Bill
Dangler.
Dangler. Got Bill. Lost a lot of things in the past. Model shop. John has procured a model size drill press and bandsaw. Top back. And
Yeah,
thank you for all of that.
I've got the receipt here for the shop. It was a Roxxon bandsaw with blade that came on it, plus two additional micro scroll saw blades. And Henry's recommendation, and that really makes that a really nice tool for cutting out frames if you're doing dockyard style model. A Proxon drill press, a small vise for that, plus an XY table to make that a nice useful tool. The small top back and some sound dampening tiles to make a enclosure for it deadened sound when it was used, which I had to make. So, other than that, in addition to the 843, I think that Ryland said there's an additional $37 for shop vac. I used my Ace coupon.
All right. I didn't think they let you use that on Power Tool. They don't ask, don't tell. Okay, other things related to the model shop. John Cork, you on today? Yes, he is. I don't think he has a microphone, so he's not gonna be able to say anything else. John is dealing with some medical issues and will not be in the model stand on his normal Thursdays and Fridays. And I'm going to do a half day, either Thursday or Friday. I haven't decided which. And any of you, whether you've worked in the model stand before or not, are welcome to help fill in for John on an occasional or regular basis. Just let me know, or you can let me know, or you can go directly to Beth. Last name? Beth Eaton. Give you her contact information. He's been very appreciative of all of our service there and John and fill in that time.
You want to come in and talk to Beth, her office is where the old admissions area used to be, right around the corner.
Just in between the bathrooms and the big wooden kitchen. Other old business related to the model shop is the display of models in the case. I think last month I said that I was going to work on some sort of more regular rotation, and I haven't done anything with that yet, but someone else brought it up again. I don't know if people aren't interested in displaying the models, or they're just not forthright and raising their hand, hey, it's my turn. So what I'm suggesting is that we write down when the model goes in, and they get minimum of 2 months of display time. After 2 months, if somebody else wants the space, they let us know, and they'll displace whichever model has been in there the longest that is the right size.
I'll tell you the issue I had with that, and that's the guy that's down there right now, Mr. Dave Baker's scared to move anything around the damn thing. So, if you want to put your model in there, like I carried my submarines out there and I said, this gentleman up here wanted to display his model down here, but you got to move this, you got to move this shelf out the way. And he got all uppity about it. I didn't exactly appreciate his tone with that.
Yeah,
I close to custom out now.
I'm not going to argue with you at all, Marty. I understand where that's coming from. But with some people, I guess we just have to ignore them and move on. But you don't have to, he's not in control of that. So if you want to move him, you can move him. If he busts, just ignore him.
Well, I was just making some suggestions. He got all uppity like a little schoolgirl that stepped on a pocketbook.
All right, well, let's not air too many grievances on the recording. I understand where you're coming from, but yeah.
No pockets there.
So
Greg?
Yep.
This becomes an uncontrollable situation unless one person is handling the transfer of models. In other words, if I decide, well, my Titanic's been in there way too long and I just take it out, I'm gonna have a problem. It should come through you or whoever is assigned to this. Can we do this? Can we do this? And both parties have to agree. Otherwise, we're gonna have all kinds of commotion, either too many ships in there or too few, or whatever it happens to be.
yeah, so I wasn't done, but that was my next point. Is yeah, it's not a free for all. There needs to be someone taking control of it. But all right, so here's a scenario. Say I want to put my model in, and the one that, the only one that, the only space that would fit my model has John Doe's model there. John Doe's not there that month to remove his. I can take his model and put it up on a shelf in the model shop, put mine in its place, and it's up to him to come get it. The problem at that point becomes shelf space, which we're running out of, which will lead me to the next item on my agenda.
But can't he come back tomorrow and take yours off and put his back? That's what I mean.
No,
It's gotta
no,
be-
no, because what I was just saying is, once you've got 2 months, once you get your model in there, there's at least 2 months, that's your space.
Okay.
Somebody else wants to put a model in, and none of the models in that case have been in there for more than 2 months, he needs to wait. Once that 2 months is gone, he can displace somebody else. Fair is fair, we all need, access to that space. If that person's not there, that can be moved on to shelf space. It's up to him to come get it. If we have shelf space, which, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. When you're done.
It's now is as good a time then.
When you guys can deal with that until I get back the end of November, or start of December.
Okay. Good. Cool. But shelf space right now is a problem, so I'll go on to my next topic. Last month, someone brought up Eve's model. I called Tommy, it was only 2 or 3 days ago. He hasn't replied yet, so I'll give her another call or two. I probably about a year, probably more than a year since the last time I spoke to her, and it took me a lot of calls to reach her at that time too. But I think she's just not great about returning calls, and you have to get lucky and catch her. Hopefully she'll come retrieve that. And that's a fairly sizable model, so that'll clear up some space. And I didn't make any notes, but I was looking around at some of the other things taking up shelf space. It's like, I have no idea whose that is, or that one, or this one. And maybe there's some that we just need to ask people to take back home. Because that's almost kind of display space too. You see it from the window. It's not front and center on the glass case. People, yeah, I was there part of yesterday and the day before, and people were pointing at those models. Anyway, thanks for offering, Tim. I appreciate that.
Along with that, I think we've got room for another row of shelves in the model booth. Okay, get the brackets, pick up another shelf.
The museum will take care of that for us. They've already offered to add more shelf space and stuff.
And we can designate one of the people who are working on the model that we don't turn it back or just leave them there week to week and everything else. We can rotate those through.
It'd be nice to be, based on what I was saying before, it'd be nice if we could keep 1 or 2 spots somewhere in the model shop, visible or not, for the ones that might need to be taken out during that rotation process.
Greg, I'm also looking at a permanent place, not permanent, but long term, to get them completely out of the shop. The LSD is, or LSD, whatever it is a good example. It's been there for years. Not in good shape, but I think I found a place to hide that at the museum. So that if you ever do want to come get it, just do tag.
I can, we don't fire down in the lake.
We've already been told Karen doesn't want it back, so the museum doesn't, Karen doesn't want it back, and if the museum doesn't want it, we can just dispose of it.
Well, can I comment on that?
Yeah,
Marilyn, my wife, sees Karen every once in a great while. Saw her last week.
Okay.
Topic of the boat popped up. So she has not forgotten about it.
so it's not that she doesn't want it.
Can't pin her down.
Yeah.
She's still clinging to this notion that the museum wants it or something. And
I'll guarantee
we've
you
been
the
trying
museum
to tell
doesn't
her
want it.
as politely as possible that it's not going to happen. Maybe she needs to contact, we But when we told, she needs to contact museum and discuss it between her and the museum. So,
From the horse's mouth.
correct. So, you know, at this point, we need to hide it, but we can't disclose.
Right.
As far as the space it's taking up right now, if I recall, it's pretty high up there, so it's not even a space that we would necessarily want to use for someone else's model, because it's difficult and not completely safe getting up on a ladder to,
It's pretty much out of sight, out of mind at the moment.
yeah.
But if Ron's got a better place to hide it.
Yeah.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
And it can be out of there completely, and if Karen does decide, hey, give her a deadline.
Yeah.
You know, museum's
Sure.
kept it for so long, we'll keep it for another 2 months.
All right, so feel free to relocate it.
All right, I'll take.
We won't dispose of it until we know more, but
Hey, Greg, addressing that situation where you don't, these models that people wanting to put in the stand, it would be nice to have them say this is model of such and such, and this is who it belongs to.
Yep.
And you slide it up underneath of it, that way if you want to move, you know how to contact whoever it is.
actually, we should have something displayable so that people can see who did it.
You see where I'm going.
Yep, oh, and I understand what you're saying. We need to know, but it'll be nice to also let the public know. You know, this is John Doe's model of what it is, because some of them don't even have tags saying what they are. If I was a guest, I want to know what it was and who did it.
Giving up a generic blank tag in our computer, and all you have to do is add the information, print it off, write the new one in.
But just making some of them up and have them there, and you bring your model, fill it out, slide it over there, right then and there.
As long as people can read it.
But yeah, I was say, my handwriting, I'd rather print it out, but.
I agree, print it.
All right.
Me too.
That's covered, I'm sorry, it's going over my head again. Okay, another thing, maybe someone is a regular at the model shop would volunteer to do is, it was not mandated, but suggested by the museum that we have a list of all of the things in the model shop and who they belong to if they're not club property, like if anyone has individual items in there. Clearly not talking about X-Acto knives and little clamps or whatever, but anything of value. Or we could just property listing. And last month, someone brought up whether or not those had to be exclusive to the shop. I'll bring that topic up again. Talk about checking things out. I don't know if we want to allow things to be checked out. If we do, I'm sure there would be certain things that would be like library reference items. These stay in the library. Check these out. Like, we're not gonna check out bandsaw. More than likely, it's big, it's heavy, and too many other people might want to use it. Anything that's gonna get used frequently in the model shop should stay in the model shop. I would say everything stays in the model shop, and people go to the model shop if they want to do some work. If you have a different idea, particularly if it's with regard to a certain piece of equipment, let me know. And we can discuss that. Beth has said that she has no problem, that that is our space, and that she thinks anyone can come in and use it. You don't have to be one of the regular model shop attendees to go in the shop and do something. I need to clarify with her if that was a blanket statement, or if she's thinking that there's at least one other regular person has a name tag there at the same time. I'm not sure about that.
That's what I'm just gonna say, something to think about, maybe we need to get like, cards that we are members. You come through security, say, yeah, I'm a member of the club. You can go to the shop, I got this 2 or 3 pieces of wood, I'm gonna be there the afternoon working on stuff. I don't donate my hours to this because I don't have the card signing in. It's something that identifies us to security that, yeah, we are.
I'll ask Beth how she'd like to handle that.
But I think that's a great idea, come in there and use the tools.
All right, so until further notice, the shop's open to everyone. Nothing should be removed from the shop, but if you do want to, for some particular reason, let us know. We can, just trying to make it easy.
Greg?
Yep.
Did you say the shop's open to everyone?
That's what Beth said. In the club,
She's
not
the one
everyone.
who put the sign that said, unless you're on this list, you gotta get authorized. Is she rescinding that?
Pardon?
She's the one who made this, the poster that says, if you're not, only these people are authorized in the shop. If you want to come in, talk to me first.
Where, is that in this?
It's inside the model
Is it?
stand on.
Okay, I'll ask her about it. 'cause
Okay, if
that-
she's rescinded it, that's fine, but
Yeah, she must have had a change of heart, because she
Yeah.
said that to me relatively recently. So, but I will mention that along with everything else.
Sounds like anybody can do it, but you gotta talk to her first to get authorized.
well, that's what she's saying, but
But she said it's open to members of the club, it's not open to the public.
Yeah, anybody in the club can get
Yeah.
in contact with her and get authorized.
It's basically, yeah, but I don't think she needs it listed anymore. That was probably an old school thought. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
But, all I have to do is hand her a roster. That's the list. Okay. Okay, the survey I sent out about us doing anything in public. Got 50 some members, some people that I don't expect to get replies from because they're totally out as it is. But 15 is a lot more than I got over the previous month, so thank you for all those who replied. I'm going to hold off on other comments until I can get more responses. But some initial feedback from me. Several people said that they had less than zero interest in the club having a exhibition or a conference, but when asked how many models they would display, it was zero. How I interpret that is you'd like to see it happen, but you don't actually want to take part yourself. You just want to be onlooker, which is fine. If you meant something other than that, let me know, because that's the way I'm interpreting those responses. As far as venues for an exhibit go, got a few suggestions. One was Chloe to Williamsburg, if there was a focus on period ships, we would submit battleships, like that. That's a pretty good idea. He's now retired, but I have a close friend who was a fairly key person at Chloe Williamsburg for a while, so she can give me a point of contact. You already have a point of contact. We can look into that. Someone mentioned the Wisconsin. That could be seen as us being copycats with the New Jersey thing, or it could be a nice homage, like, hey, like what we did, we'll do ModelCon Hampton Roads. And I imagine, Joshua Fishman would, be on today, not today. He would take offense to that, I'm sure he'd be honored. That's another possibility. I mentioned bookstores, there was only moderate interest in that. More than zero. I happened to be in the area, so I stopped in at the Barnes and Noble by the Packard Mall. And once she realized we weren't trying to sell anything, the manager was quite keen on the idea. But of course, it's corporate that, makes the decisions and might have an objection based on liability or whatever. But I'm gonna at least have a dialogue ongoing with that. My thought was that a bookstore, I say library, I meant bookstore. Bookstore might have interest in doing something like that as a means of pushing books. So if it's a ship model stuff, they might push any books related to ships, not just specifically ship modeling. They could even push any other kind of hobby or craft type thing at the same time. Okay, maybe ship modeling is not your thing, but here's a bunch of books on knitting or drawing or painting or whatever. Someone mentioned the mall. Good part about a mall is there's tons of traffic. Bad part of a mall is that I doubt it would be free. Doubt they're gonna donate any space for us. And unless someone was there to look over it, we'd have to hire security. It's probably a non-starter, but if anyone wants to pursue that, let me know. Libraries have always been mentioned. We did a library when we just passed. I don't know if it was Poston or somewhere in York County. I spoke with people at Main Street Library. from Newport News. Was given a contact that I didn't follow up on. Somebody else mentioned library in Williamsburg. In the distant past, someone mentioned the library in Williamsburg does something with model trains every year. So I don't know if it was the same one that was mentioned, but if they do a thing with model trains every year, they would probably be relatively receptive to doing something of ship model. So any of those things can be pursued, but I'm just not opening up for those are going to be votes. But if you have comments, feel free, but we can also just table it another time after we get more responses.
Got a question. When was the survey sent out? I'm asking because I've been having a lot of.
Earlier this week, probably like Monday. It's a Google Forms thing. So it's embedded in your email. You should just be able to do it right in the email, or you can, there's a link to open it up. That seemed to be better than the email form from the plain email that I sent out earlier. It's a bit quicker response.
I couldn't even fill the first one out, try to put X's in or to.
No, that was you, just, you'd have to reply. It wasn't a good, it wasn't a PDF form or.
I think security is always gonna be an issue. Mall is the extreme, but even a
Yeah.
bookstore.
Heck, there's shootings going on at the mall.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
had suggested a few of those more minor museums in the area and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're already set up for that kind of thing. If it was just something that fit their vision or view or space.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me, but I don't think it was in the form, so I didn't see it when I was going through this.
You got Virginia Beach Light Stadium, just
Yeah.
even held a
that one.
meeting, met down there.
Hampton, the History Museum, they're in space. That's probably not.
Taking the extreme,
But
With
something
some of
of
the-
that nature. something
some of the
small.
stuff Gene's done, he's not gonna wanna stick in Barnes and Noble and leave it there for a week or so.
We
I know I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it in the library once.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do it at Gene's house?
Yeah.
I'm already full.
Sorry.
It only takes one ship from Eugene to fill your house up.
Okay,
Got a question for you.
Yep.
It may have been brought up before, but there's an airfield down at Plumville, the aviation museum down there. There's a lot of Navy down there, obviously. So that might be a site where they kept the room. And certainly that's very, the aircraft that's there. It might be of interest.
but survey listed. All right. Conferences, no one, there was more interest in the conferences than there were exhibits, even that was kind of less than overwhelming. I haven't contacted the museum to do any details about, I'm presuming it would be where they're not involved at all, we're not taking up any of their space, so it's not a matter of whether they would be interested or approve it, it would be a matter of how much it costs. And then we'd be limited to that size. Wouldn't spill out into the rotating gallery space or anything. Unless they shock us and say, oh yeah, that sounds great, we'd like to take part, but they weren't all that receptive in the past, they probably won't be now. That will be pursued, but I have no other comments. Anything else before we move on to the business?
Are you still on old business?
Yep.
I'm gonna pass around this, we need presentations for either July or August, because Leave Shell Mouth is gonna be free either month. For September, for November, December, that's only 4 presentations. So I don't want you to fight over them, but I'm gonna pass this around, so all you have to fill in is your name. You can talk later about what you want to do in the presentation. When it gets to 4, please send it back to me, because I don't want to get this overcrowded. That's a positive attitude.
It is.
Yeah.
Also very optimistic.
You didn't want
Good sell, John.
it.
Ooh, give it to me fast. Any other old business? Or did I rush the whole thing about exhibits and conferences? Anyone else have any comments to add? No.
Well, I mean, you know, we had the joint conference club up in New London, Connecticut at the end of April. Ames and Henry attended. Crowd was smaller than the October exhibit. The number of models was down about 25%. But still, there was good quality. You know, it was a good time for all, and it turned out really well. We also had coming up on August the 6th, the 4th annual Model Con on a Battleship, New Jersey, thrown by the Philadelphia Ship
When was
Models.
it?
August the 6th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And have a flyer that Josh was handing out in the packets at the Northeast Conference. And they're looking for volunteers. And really, when he says volunteers, he's looking for somebody to display their models. And because it's really not much, you go on board, tables are set up, and you kind of like set up shop. I know that the Hampton Roads contingent last year set up in the award room, and it was air conditioned. Some of them set up, you know, they have the area there, plus they had the fan field. It sounded like a big tent that's set up in the back of the ship. And that's always a good show. I've been twice, and it can be a good time. And Josh, boy, he's done a lot of work in putting it on. Just thought I'd bring up those two venues.
Yeah, back to the security concern for just a moment. I get that with the bookstore, and I even asked them, I said, well, you know, would you guys be willing to put, you have security tags that beep if someone walks through with a door with a book. He said, no, they probably, corporate will probably nix that because them taking responsibility for it. I don't necessarily see that, but I'm sure that's how lawyers would see it. Library on their hand, and while I was there, customer came up and said, hey, there's no one at the register right now. If there's always someone at the register, they're gonna see someone walking out with a model, but even just that short period I was there, there was no one up front. The library always has somebody at the desk. Let's see. It's a bit over there. That,
I said, but she's not very fast.
yeah.
Greg, how many days would the expo last?
I'm thinking at least a week, could be a week, 2 or 3, and it's up to us and the venue, how long there is. I think the stuff was at that Wilson Library for 2 weeks. So it's
If
not,
it were only a week, would that be sufficient?
I would be fine with, again, it's up to the venue, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's anywhere from a week to a month.
Okay.
A week would be at the low end for.
Yeah.
And it depends how much traffic there is. I was at the bookstore on a Thursday afternoon, and there was 30 cars in the parking lot. That's surprised. So bookstores, people still read books.
Yeah.
Okay. No other old business, we'll move on to new. First, unfortunately, first order of new business is clerk and editor. John's taking minutes today. I'm not sure how long he's going to take minutes. He's also volunteered to take stab at a newsletter for 1 or 2 months, but
Unfortunately, I'm still on the masthead as an editor.
yeah, that's true. Anyway, anyone interested in taking on the role of clerk or editor or co-editor with John, please give it serious consideration and move forward. These are a voted position, right? Not appointed. Maybe it's too early to make nominations for electing the that office, or do you want to wait to table it for next month?
I nominate Stuart Wynn since he's not here.
Yeah. John and I will get. Maybe come up with a proposal or something. 'Cause I
heard that.
I'm sure it's online. He said, I heard that.
Yep.
Just keep on.
Good timing, Stuart. You know, good comedy, there's always a pause before the punchline.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's so new that we'll shore it up for a month,
Yeah.
maybe two. And then, like I say, Gene wants to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, normally we take nominations and vote, and we'll wait at least a month before we do that. I didn't have any other new business.
I brought in some NRG magazines there, just old stock I had, free to take, not a member, it'll ice you. Quite. They're right on the table there, take whatever you want.
Yep,
Too early to think about the picnic.
don't think so. Ryland, you've been doing that lately? The reservation part?
Right, I've been doing the reservations, but, you know, we try to get a,
All right, so last time it was brought up,
bad for lack of.
yeah, so I think I remember bringing it up maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and hardly anyone put their hand up, because it was. sparsely
January, I
attended.
think, yeah, because we needed to make reservations early to shelter. They fill up.
Not too many people putting their hands up. It might be too late to get a space, but let's see if interest level has changed. Please raise your hand if you'd be interested in attending picnic in September.
December?
September.
Well, I put my name in September.
And if a space is, if a venue is not
Okay, so
available,
somehow.
I can
Yeah.
volunteer in my backyard for that.
Okay, okay.
What about the annual dinner? We do
Um,
that anymore?
Yeah, anyone online in the area, so Stuart, Joseph, you guys can use a little speak up or use the thumb icon that's somewhere if you want to add your opinion on anything. And Joseph fell asleep, he's still muted. Yep, Stuart's saying he might attend.
Well,
Yeah,
the interest is
John's
picked up.
nodding. Joseph's still sleeping.
What was the question?
The question is,
Would you be interested in attending a picnic in September?
Sure.
All right, cool. All right, it does sound like there's enough interest. Riley, will you be willing to inquire whether there's any space available, and if not, pick up these offer? Got a big
Okay.
backyard.
well, definitely.
It looks like you're jumping right on it. So you're doing- All right. So thanks for bringing that up, Tim. Looks like you revived the picnic. If it goes off well, we have either thing.
You won't be here.
You'll be gone that long?
I'm not coming back till the end of November.
Okay. Oh, what in the world are you be doing up there?
A lot of
And fish?
fishing, a lot of photography.
Somebody else do it.
That ends the news business unless somebody wants to. All right, I'm going to stop the recording and restart it.
Show and tell?
Show and tell, yep. And you guys, anyone want or need a 5-minute break before we do show and tell? Ready to dive right in. That was a yes, all right. Short break, just 5 minutes. We'll be back.
Don't worry, I won't cuss anybody out in y'all's absence.
So the reservation, if I can get a